go. Chair set up right, so it's not too uncomfortable. Browser, get that set up. That sounds good for now, so let's drop an announcement. So we can see. Do. Alrighty. That there. A little bit off to the side. Alright. Welcome back to Apollo Justice Ace Attorney. Let's go into it because I have no idea what the fuck happened last time. Some wild shit went down. Alright, July 10th. 11 minutes to showtime. Well, this is it. Today's the day it all goes down. And then there was yesterday. This meeting is over. Sorry. Give us 5 more minutes. You can call them back after that. Sorry, no go. Come on, piano boy, we're leaving. Darian, wait. Never liked you, either of you. Huh? Darn it, we were so close. He was about to tell us. Hey, Apollo. You didn't want us to hear what Machi had to say. I think I know why. Time to bring down a little justice. What was that? Was someone shot in a... What happened? He's heard but unseen. Who's that talking? Valiant Gremory! I exclaimed as he walked in through the door normally. You aren't the witness today, are you, Uncle Land? A preposterous proposition. How can I stand to stand upon the stand? Why, my secrets would be free for the plugging. I might even have to sign autographs. That's why I intend to remain hidden for the entire day. Oh, with vanishing magic. Indeed, I will jump upon the express train and express myself to the next town over. But before I go, a word of warning. Warning? What? A grand grammary glamour resides at the root of all that has happened. Do not forget this truth. Glamour. A spell, a sorcery, a great illusion. Miss Trucy, though it pains me to part so. I need to get in line for a ticket. Farewell! And there he goes. He sure seemed happy about that illusion thing. Oh, big illusions are the bread and butter of a magician. You can't pull off a show without one. Big illusion is always a spectacle to remember. Usually it involves cutting up things, like people or the Eiffel Tower. Anything, really. He was talking about what we saw at the concert. Lamar's disappearing act. And Prosecutor Gavin's exploding guitar. I wonder what he meant by it being at the root of all that has happened. Well, it's about time. Shall we go? Excuse me, sir. Yes? The schedule started after the trials have changed. Trial will not be commencing until 10:30 a.m. Sorry for the inconvenience. Huh? Something happened? This is a first? Yeah, it is. What? By the judge's request, emergent personal business. Right, I bet he stayed up too late last night watching courtroom dramas. Apparently he's been in the hospital again. Hospital? I believe it was mentioned that the Chief Justice's son is unwell. Apparently his condition worsened considerably this morning. The Chief Justice's son? Oh, that's right. Remember yesterday morning, the judge said he had to go visit him after the trial. There's an article about a newspaper. Incuritis syndrome, first case in country. Uh-oh. You gotta read about it yourself. Ooh, uh-oh. Oh. Incuritis, where have I heard that before? I know exactly where I heard that before. What does this mean? Oh no, did the Chief Justice have someone did the Chief Justice have Machi smuggle out a cocoon? Oh no! Terry, did you help him? Oh no! These strikes closer to home than ever before. Ooh! Oh! What does this mean? Just leave the TV guide page to me. Try not to lose the page with the funnies if you can. Oh, all right. Okay. This is getting spicy immediately. My apologies for the delay. Court is now in session for the trial of, how do you say this name again? Machi Tobai, our suspect, Fortissimo. Right. It's his trial in any case. The defense is prepared, Your Honor. Prosecution is ready to rock. Is something wrong, Your Honor? Oh, well, yes. It's just I've been friends with the Chief Justice since we were students. It pains me to see him go through such a difficult time. Incuritis, was it? That article said there is no known cure. Herr Judge, let me say with all honesty, I feel your pain. Now's not the time for tears. Now's the time for law. Indeed. We left off on quite the juncture yesterday. Ask Interpol about that number. IPXX314206. The agent registered under this number was Romain Latouche. Thanks for looking into that for us, Detective Crescent. It's a great help. Oh, no problem at all, Your Honor. I'll be heading out. Wait. That voice just now. It was him. I am sure of it. It was him? That voice I heard talking to Mr. Latouche. When I heard the gunshots fired. It was him. It was Mr. Darien. No way. Quite a sensational ending. Who would have thought Darien would have guest starred the season cliffhanger as a suspect? I asked the prosecution to look into this matter. Please tell the court your findings. Darien Crescent is a member of my band, the Gaviniers. He's also a detective, making the current charges serious indeed. Yet after the investigation, I found no cause to alter our case or file new charges. And your reason is? Weren't you aware, Forehead? He has an impeccable alibi. An alibi? Let's review the facts again, shall we? The concert held on the night of the shooting was in 3 sets. The Gaviniers ripped up the stage from the first set. For the second set, our guests took center stage. The only performers appearing there were myself, Lemoire, and Machi, along with the drummer and bassist. We're a total of 5. Shooting in the dressing room, however, took place during the 3rd set. Lemoire and the defendant, Machi Tobai, had left the stage at that point, and the Gaviniers were already rocking. This is when 2 shots rang out at the scene of the crime. Shots heard by Detective Emma Skye, mind you. And Apollo, you heard them too, right? I sure did. Furthermore, Lemoire herself witnessed the moment of the crime. Well, perhaps I should say she heard the moment of the crime. When she claimed to have heard Mr. Latouche and Detective Crescent talking. But that's impossible. Detective Crescent was... Precisely. Detective Crescent was on stage getting his groove on, no less. Voila. Perfect alibi. Does the defense have anything to add to this? It's true, when I heard those gunshots, he must have been on stage. So there's something here that doesn't quite add up. It appears the defense has no objections. I believe we can safely say that Darien Crescent's alibi has been acknowledged. Which means that Lemoire was sadly mistaken. Testimony cannot be true. Very well. Of course, we disregard her testimony. And I see no evidence keeping us from declaring a verdict. If indeed there are no objections.
Uh-oh, Apollo. He declares a verdict now. Ah! Prosecutor Gavin's case is airtight. Lemoire might have been lying to protect Machi. How can I rely on her testimony? Wait, what were yesterday in the detention center? But the case? What about the case? Wants to tell us about Mr. Lechu's death?
This meeting's over.
Darien? Machi was trying to tell us something. I know it. Maybe the best thing to do is ask him. Under oath.
Very well, the court finds the defendant. What was his name again?
Objection!
Your Honor. No, that wasn't it. It was something like Marquis or Mr. Justice.
Your Honor, before you declare a verdict, I'd like to call another witness.
Exactly who else do you need to hear from?
A witness who, until now, has not given a chance to speak in this court. Because he doesn't speak English.
You don't mean...
I do. The defense calls defendant Machi Tobai to the stand.
What? He doesn't speak English.
We use an interpreter.
Interpreter? I'm afraid you'll have to look elsewhere. I only speak a few phrases, such as I love you and where's the toilet.
The defense would like to request Lemoire as the interpreter.
Lemoire? There's a possibility that she's protecting the defendant.
She'd be interpreting for the defendant. Why would she lie?
This is most unusual. Bravo, Air Forehead. Herr Judge, the prosecution agrees with the defense's request. If Lemoire lies, I'll be able to tell. Even my limited knowledge of the language should be enough for that. Well, if both the prosecution and the defense are for this, I see little causal to refuse.
Finally, some progress.
Bailiff, please show the defendant and Lemoire to the witness stand. Suppose there's a first time for everything. Shall we proceed? Your name to begin with. If you would, Lemoire.
Yes. He says Machi Tobai, the defendant.
There's certainly a first for this courtroom. Not that we really needed an interpretation of that message in particular.
So far, so good.
Very well, Mr. Justice, if you would.
Huh? I would what, Your Honor?
Would what? You called the defendant to the stand, did you not? What would you have him testify about?
What do I want him to testify about? I hadn't thought that far ahead yet. Apollo, aren't you going to ask him what he was going to tell you about? What he was about to tell us yesterday? How can I if I don't know what he's saying? Excuse me a moment, if I might speak?
Yes, Lemoire.
Just now, Machi said there's something about which he wishes to testify. Machi wants to testify about something? What could it be?
What sort of testimony is he talking about?
One moment, please.
The suspense is killing me.
What? What?
Well, Lemoire?
According to Machi, he has proof of his innocence.
What? This is a surprise.
Ooh, victory, Apollo, we did it! This is sounding too good to believe, but I know what that usually means.
Well, if that's true, then this is a vital testimony. Machi, please testify to the court.
Very well.
Alright, let's hear it, I guess.
He says that word of Mr. Lechu's death came as a great shock. But if the killing truly followed the lyrics of my song, I, that is, he, could not have done it. He says that because the lyrics are in English, he does not understand them.
I see. He wouldn't have understood the English lyrics to the song. That would prevent him from following them so closely. Wondered what he meant by proof. Why, he would only have to ask Lemoire to know the meaning of that song. Lemoire.
You ever explain the lyrics of that song to him? I did tell him generally what the song was about, but never in so much detail, and he never asked. As my oft-repeated warning already fled that forehead, the law might be protecting the witness. Well, anyway, let us proceed with the cross-examination. Mr. Justice, if you would. Yes, Your Honor. Something's hidden in that testimony, I know it. I just have to trust my bracelet to tell me where. It worked yesterday, it'll work today. There is no perceive in this. Back, great shock. I think full lyrics of my song. That is, he could not have done it. Alright, let's start poking. And be in his eyes, okay. If it gives me the option, I don't think I need to bother pressing. Unless there truly is nothing to see. Oh, there it is. Here again. He says that because the lyrics are in English.
Gotcha!
I wonder if this is a trap. Machi, you can't fool my eyes. He glanced toward her the very moment Lamar said the word English. Why? Don't bother interpreting that. He understands me. Machi, tell the truth. You can understand English, can't you? What are you saying? Of course he can't. Must he continue this charade? Mr. Justice, Machi says this. I know the word English. Huh? Before coming to this country, I heard me speaking English. Learn a name for this language, that is all. What? Give me a break. That's such an unusual word to understand? You not know Espanol, for instance. Well, yeah, but... I'm sorry, but he truly does not understand your language. Well, then explain this. How does he know the crime followed the lyrics? Have you always been such a suspicious-minded lad? It's simple, so simple that it hardly requires an explanation. You read about it in the newspaper. The newspaper? Morganian Daily Bugle. You can buy it in this country these days, you know. They've already begun to report this case in our homeland. Yeah, but they didn't report any details. What is wrong, Mr. Justice? Your eyes, they are quite fierce all of a sudden. Machi's lying. Maybe it's time to show them proof that he's lying. I have here a Borginian newspaper, the Borginian Daily Bugle, as a matter of fact. Indeed, there is a feature or article about this case. Could you read this for me, Machi? That's right, it doesn't mention the lyrics. What? What is this all about? I'm sorry, Machi. You couldn't have read about the lyrics in the Borginian newspaper. What? I get this is bringing us closer to the truth, but I am just super not in my client's favor right now. What does this mean? But I don't see how it's possible. Ah, I know. You must have heard the lyrics when the police were doing their questioning.
Not possible. The subject of the lyrics was not brought up in police questioning. I read the full report myself.
So the lyrics weren't in the newspaper, and the police didn't mention them. The only place you could have heard them was in this courtroom.
In English, no less. The witness will explain himself.
Machi says... He says...
Yes?
It's true I read the newspaper. This is not where I learned of the lyrics. I was mistaken. Now I remember.
You remember?
He says he heard of the lyrics from me.
But what? Is this true, Lamar?
Yes, I'm afraid I had forgotten it myself.
It looks like Air 4-Head's been jumping to conclusions again. Seems so, yes.
Oh, no. I was onto something, I know it. I can't let this chance slip away.
Time is an issue today. Mr. Justice, are you finished with the cross-examination?
What are you going to do, Apollo? Let me keep it on cross-examining. I better have an angle of attack. Or else. Bracelet's still reacting.
Your Honor, please allow me to continue. You must. Very well. Witness?
I understand.
Okay, now I gotta catch Lamar out now. Yep. She was covering for him. Lamar, I'm currently cross-examining Machi. Why should you be uncertain?
Me? Uncertain?
Yes, you swallowed the very moment you told the court. It was I who explained.
I see there is little point in trying to hide anything from you.
Lamar, are you indeed protecting someone?
That is not a question with a simple answer. To tell the truth, I do not believe it myself.
Then allow me to answer it for you. Lamar, you're protecting... You're very clearly protecting Machi. Lamar, you're protecting Machi. That's why you lied and told us that you had explained how the crime followed the song. I don't fault you for trying to help, but this is not the way. Machi, I believe you didn't do it, really. I trust you. You've lied to us twice. And now you have Lamar lying on your behalf. If this is going to work, you have to trust me, too. Your two lies to cover a simple truth. You understand English. You have to. Oh, there we go. Witness, is this true? Do you understand English?
Yes, a little, only.
What? First you could see, now you can talk. And you did not know about this, Lamar.
No, I did not. It's quite a surprise.
How many secrets is this witness hiding?
This is last.
Machi, could you tell us what really happened?
No shooting. I did no shooting.
You weren't in the dressing room when I heard those gunshots, correct? Apparently, the answer to that question isn't simple either.
I was in dressing room, behind desk. Manager, he on floor.
Which would be after the shooting, right?
Then there is voice. Voice or voices? Was it you and Emma, Apollo?
So when Machi went to the dressing room, Mr. Lutus had already been shot.
Then we came to the door. Panel high up. I take off. Run away, run away.
So it was you who escaped through the air vent. As the prosecution has upheld all along, no less. The defendant has admitted to being at the scene. I would take this as a confession.
No, he's clearly denied that he did it. I know shooting. Manager on floor. Already on floor.
The victim has already been shot, you say. I find that hard to believe. The defendant understood the song lyrics. He was at the scene of the crime. This can only mean one thing. He's the shooter. Does the defendant have anything to say to this?
Climbed up, Apollo.
Let's ask Mr. Justice. Will you require any further testimony from the witness?
Is that all? Is there nothing else I can get him to testify about? Wait, no, of course there is. What is this cocoon, anyway? The cocoon, the silk, is a potent cure. Cure? Well, Machi, are you a smuggler? He won't tell me. That cocoon has to have something to do with this.
Machi, please, tell us the truth for your own sake.
No, no more speak, not to any of you.
So much for your precious trust, Air Forehead.
You were the one who didn't believe him.
Regardless, this brings us to an impasse. It does not seem the defense and defendant. It does seem that the defense and the defendant are at odds. I doubt we are likely to learn anything more of value should this continue. I see no other course but to declare 5-minute recess. The defense will work things out with the defendant so that we might proceed.
Shit, dude.
Apollo Eustace. That's justice. Better learn how to say it if you're ever gonna want it. If you're ever gonna want some.
Leave. I know shooting. Machi claims Mr. Latus was already down on the ground when he entered the room. Maybe it was a trap and he walked right into it. Suddenly I hear a revolver. Close, very close. Then I hear a voice.
Are the gunshots?
Yes, it's true. I hear a revolver. But only sound.
Wait, you're saying you went to the dressing room? And found Mr. Latus already dead and then you heard shots?
That's true. So you were at the scene of the crime when you heard those shots. And you escaped through the air vent?
I know.
Huh? What do you know?
I know if I open vent, I can leave stage and backstage.
So the vents went to both the stage and the backstage area. Is this what he means? Hey, he's right. Look, Apollo.
Huh? Yeah.
How did you know it was connected like that? Wait, I bet his father was the architect that designed the hall or something.
I hear this from Magician.
Magician? Don't look at me.
A magician, huh?
Well, at least we're clear on one thing. Machi didn't shoot Mr. Latus. Yeah, but what does that leave us with? We're supposed to say he went into the room to find the body and then he heard the shots?
That one's not going to go over well in court. That one's going to go over well in court. Not.
Apollo, you're his defense. You're supposed to believe whatever he says, even lies. That's what Daddy always told me.
Let's just pretend you misheard him. Every time.
So what do we do? You're sure you won't testify, Machi?
No talking, no.
Well, it was worth a shot.
That cocoon.
Can't go home, can't go home.
Can't go home to Borgina. Do not want to go home.
Penalty due for taking cocoon from Borgina is death. That's right, it's punishable by death. Of course, he's scared.
Oh well, I guess we'll just have to try a different approach.
That's the spirit, Apollo. So what's your plan?
If Machi won't testify about it, we'll have to get someone else to testify.
Someone else?
I think we're out of time. Let's get back in there.
Right.
Shit. Court is now back in session. Mr. Justice, have you sorted things out with the defendant? Yes, Your Honor. We had a good talk. Very well. So will he testify? Your Honor, the defendant will not testify. What?
Shame, and here I thought this was your big chance to turn the case around. Actually, it is. The defense would like to approach this case from a different angle, Your Honor.
A different angle?
Machi won't testify. Then I know who will. I would like to cross-examine the witness in this case, Lamar.
Lamar?
What are you up to now?
I thought we determined yesterday that Lamar's testimony was insubstantial. There's nothing you can...
Lamar was taken to the hospital yesterday with injuries.
What happened?
He was assaulted, Your Honor.
Assaulted?
Someone wanted Lamar dead. Thankfully, she was able to save herself.
What? I heard no such report.
Prosecutor Gavin. How would anyone be out to kill Lamar? Can you think of a reason?
Well...
Think of how she is known in our country. A singer from overseas who doesn't speak English, yes? Yet someone tried to keep her mouth shut. Who could have that been?
You don't think?
I do. It was the same person who shot Mr. Latouche. The killer was afraid of her, afraid of what she might say. The defense believes that something was hidden in her testimony yesterday. Something the killer didn't want getting out.
So, I might understand that this is what you're saying. Namely, that there's a nugget of truth in Lamar's testimony. A nugget we have yet to uncover.
Exactly.
Lamar was attacked. This has serious implications. Very well. There were some vague points in her testimony during yesterday's trial. Perhaps we did not inquire as deeply as we might have into some. The court will hear Lamar's testimony once more.
Lamar, I must apologize. I must ask you to stand and speak again and speak. You need not apologize. I know that Machi is innocent. And I will do all I can until the court realizes this. Let's review your testimony from yesterday. You told us you heard 2 gunshots and then the shooter's voice through the window. And the voice belonged to Darian Crescent, yes? That is correct. At which point I proved she could not be correct. You couldn't have heard any of those things. The small window at the scene was closed, and was found to be quite soundproof.
You have nothing to say to that, Mr. Justice?
I don't know exactly what yet, but I do know there's something there. There is, it seems much you do not know.
It is my duty to hear him out. Perhaps the witness would be so kind as to testify once more to the court.
Of course, Your Honor. Alright. What I heard. I was on my way back. Well, it was on my way from the stage to the back stage exit. That's when I heard them, Mr. Latouche and the detective. I heard the faint sound of a gunshot and then stopped. Then I heard another gunshot. There was the smell of gunpowder. I knew it must be someone. I knew I must tell someone, but I was in a hurry, so I kept moving past the small window.
Pretty much the same as yesterday's testimony.
I'm sorry. I'm not used to speaking much in this language. Perhaps my descriptions are lacking in some way. Yet everything I have said in here is the truth.
Then it is my distinct displeasure to say this. What you have said to have happened is impossible.
Do I have to repeat myself? Lamar was attacked because of this testimony. What, Trucy? Apollo, you know, for a moment there, you were pretty cool. I really do better when I don't try to think ahead.
Very well, Mr. Justice. Perhaps you can coolly cross-examine the witness.
Listen, Judge, you don't need to rip on me like that. On my way from the stage to the backstage exit. Is something wrong? No, I said hold it. She's saying the same thing she said before.
Mr. Justice.
Sorry, it's nothing. Please continue with your testimony.
I don't know what they mean about... I know what they mean about the reckless youth these days. The one in the red over there is a shining example there, Judge.
You're the last person who should be pointing fingers, Mr. Rockstar. Darian Crescent? I did not know his name at the time. But yes, it was him, the one who took the stand yesterday.
How many times do I need to remind you that it's impossible? There's no way you could have heard him.
Because the window at the scene was closed?
Is that why?
Of course. Apollo, if we keep asking the same questions as yesterday, we won't get anywhere. Great, maybe there's a different angle I can try.
Did you hear anything else?
Did you happen to hear anything else at the time? Anything else? Anything else besides the victim and the shooter's conversation? Anything at all?
That's quite the vague question.
Other than the conversation, I heard a clock ticking. Two men breathing, footsteps. That is all.
Nothing new there, as expected.
Ah, hoping for a little more than that.
Perhaps we should just carry on with the cross-examination.
As you wish.
No? You very clearly should have heard music, right?
Faint sound of a gunshot, then stopped. Another gunshot. Why didn't you tell us more? Why didn't you tell someone immediately?
Well, For me, I would have gone to the police right away. It's our duty as citizens. It's maybe besides the point, but Lamar isn't a citizen. The one would hope such common sense prevails in Borgina as well.
Lamar seems awfully quiet all of a sudden. It's strange. Could you be hiding something? It is as you say, yet at the time... You were in a hurry to go where? I was on my way to the backstage exit, as I have said. Why are you in such a hurry then? Well, I don't think that has anything to do with this case.
You very well might. Please answer the question. You're alright, Lamar.
Yes, I am just tired.
Recall what I told you yesterday, Air Forehead. Lamar suffers from serious anemia. Or amnesia. Yes, she feels very faint. Please refrain from traumatizing her further.
Ah. What, so he can just dismiss questions he thinks are too traumatizing?
Why don't you prove a reason and a connection to the case before asking about it, yeah? Prosecution's objection is sustained. Current question is moot, Mr. Justice. Please continue with your cross-examination.
Lamar was attacked because of this testimony. I know she was. Something's got to be hidden here. Maybe there was some detail we were missing. Guess we'll just have to get her to fill in the blanks. Right.
I think... yeah. Because this occurred during their second set.
So if she heard anything, she definitely should have heard the music.
Ah!
Faint sound of a gunshot, and then stop. Then another gunshot.
Why are there two igniters? I don't think I ever answered that. Why are there two igniters?
The smell of gunpowder, I knew I must tell someone, but... Smell of gunpowder.
It's not a gunpowder. In a hurry, so I kept moving past the small window. So what are we trying to prove? I guess that the murder occurred at a slightly earlier time. Right? Okay, that's what we're trying to prove here. Because Machi was in the room when the No, he's in the room before the gun was fired. He heard gunshots. And saw Latouche on the ground with a gun. On my way from the stage to the backstage exit. Read the Mr. Latouche and the detective. Oh, okay, right, it was another option. What were they talking about? Lamar, do you by any chance remember what it was they were saying to each other? If so, please tell us. I've given it much reflection, but I was afraid of this. She doesn't remember. I only heard one phrase clearly. A whole phrase? Remember something that was said? Why didn't you say anything yesterday? Though my memory is clear, I was afraid to speak. You see, I do not understand what was said. Could be it, the clue we've been waiting for. Well, what did he say? It was the other man speaking, not Mr. Latouche. The shooter, then. Darian Crescent. Well, what did he say? It's over. Press the switch. Now. Switch. And the shooter said this to the victim, Mr. Latouche. I thought it quite strange myself afterward. This is a mystery. What could it possibly mean? Mr. Justice, care to shed some light on this? I mean, sure, I'd be delighted. It's, very, very vital that maybe we could add this to testimony? Maybe, Apollo? Press the switch. Probably this one. Press the switch. There's only one key that can be unlocked. There's only one key that can unlock the mystery of those words. Oh? There was nothing at the scene that could be called a switch, save the lights. Sure, there wasn't a switch at the scene, but it just so happens I have a switch right here. That certainly does look like a switch, doesn't it? The problem is, this was found not in the scene of the crime, but on stage. The stage? Where the concert was held, yes. This was found hidden there. On the stage. You claim that the voice Lamar heard. Was someone commanding another to press the switch? It is a possibility. Objection! Oh, wear a forehead. I'd call that an impossibility. Why? It's hardly necessary for me to remind the court of the layout of the concert forum. The stage is quite far from Lamoire's dressing room. Not to mention that the Gavineers were in the middle of a concert on said stage. We aren't known for being a quiet band. You can shed all you want and not be heard.
The detective's voice was loud, but certainly not a shout.
So too have Air Forehead's cries of possibility falls short of being heard.
Sorry, but he wouldn't have needed to shout.
Excuse me?
You heard what he said, or you need me to shout it out for you? Would have been quite simple to be heard on the stage from the dressing room.
Oh wait,
You like evidence, don't you? How about this? Using this, it would have been easy to get a message to someone on stage from the dressing room. Prosecutor Gavin, perhaps you're familiar with this.
why that's... What? What is it? That's some kind of newfangled phone they invented while I wasn't looking? I mean...
This is a type of transmitter, a communications device.
Communications device?
When I've heard of that night, everyone on stage was wearing one of these. Isn't that right, Prosecutor Gavin?
Yes, actually. They're for talking between band members. We all had one on.
So you admit that if you were wearing one of these, talking from the backstage to the stage would be simple.
True, but wait, those send out an electronic signal. To avoid interference with the audio systems, their range is quite limited.
Lamar said it was about 30 feet, right? Look at the cross-section of the diagram of the concert forum.
Ah.
Exactly. The walk from the stage to the backstage seems far. But the direct distance is less than 30 feet.
That can't be!
That's the first time we've actually seen, like, a pain sprite. Wow.
So, when Lamar heard the shooter's voice, could have been talking to someone on stage. Ha! You're claiming this switch is... You're claiming this is the switch in question? Why did it have to be on the stage at the time?
Oh, okay. Oh, I get it now. The shooting happened during the second set. That's why Lamar doesn't want to talk about it, because it's part of the act, a part of the disappearance. She disappeared from the main stage, and as she was walking from where she was to where she appeared, she crossed by the dressing room, and she heard Darian giving the order to light Gavin's guitar on fire.
Why did it have to be on the stage at the time? Would have been placed in a pocket and carried anywhere. Someone could have hid it on the stage after the fact.
Hey, he's got a point. How do we know where it was when she heard the voice? And the shooter said press the switch.
Well, I guess we don't. Unfortunate situation. I'm afraid that until we know where the switch was, there's little point in debating it.
Oh, yeah, the switch was always in the piano. And there's just a particular chord that just lights Gavin's guitar on fire. So Darian was talking to Machi while holding Latouche at gunpoint. Ugh. I'm sure this was the way to go with this.
What is the switch anyway? We don't even know that basic fact.
Wait a second. I do know what this switch is. If you follow that train of logic to its incredible conclusion, it ends up in proof that completely changes this case. What's up, Apollo?
Apollo?
So yeah, it just completely reverses it. Now Darian has no alibi, and Machi is the only... Machi is one of the few people with an alibi. Because if the shooting happened during the second set, Machi and Gavin were on stage. Meanwhile, Lamar was underground for half of it. And we have no idea where Darian was. We know about the switch, right? We know what it is. Oh, we know about the switch, right? We know what it is. Yeah? Well, think of when it was used that day. Think of what happened.
Well, Mr. Justice, you have no further information to share concerning the switch.
Your Honor?
Yes, Mr. Justice.
I've been remiss in not telling the court this before. I know what this switch is.
Well, it seems the defense is set upon linking the switch to the case. Let's see your evidence of the link. What evidence do you have that explain what the switch is?
Prosecutor Gavin, you remember this, right?
Ah, that's... That what? Did another one of those newfangled phones?
This is an igniter. What phone looks like this?
Have you seen some of the Linux shit? It's fucking wild, man. Igniter? You mean it's like a lighter?
Yes, actually.
You aren't saying the switch is a remote?
I am. This is a remote trigger for an igniter.
What?
Look, I'll show you.
Yo! Mr. Justice, you'll cease and desist from burning down this courtroom.
Sorry. That was a bit more fire than I expected.
My whiskers are caught on fire.
Prosecutor Gavin, let me repeat myself. This switch is a remote igniter trigger. Doesn't that suggest something to you?
You're talking about what happened to me, aren't you?
Ah. Exactly. That night of the concert, there was one unusual burst of flame.
That's so funny, we keep looking at this. I missed what that one said entirely.
When your guitar caught fire in the middle of your performance.
Wasn't that part of the stage show, though?
Prosecutor Gavin was entirely unaware that such a thing had been planned. And the guitar that burned was a valuable keepsake. That's right. He got it in Borghino from Lamar. He said the sound was amazing, before it burned, of course. Now it just kind of smokes.
The better the guitar, the brighter it burns. Air forehead.
Yes?
Don't tell me you're trying to tie these two things together. Those being the shooter's voice, heard by Lemoire. And the guitar suddenly catching on fire.
I am. It's really simple when you think about it. Mr. Latouche and the shooter were at the crime scene. The shooter was wearing a headset. He ordered someone on stage to press the switch. The switch was pressed and the guitar caught fire.
Well, that does seem to make sense. Though something about it is bugging me. I can't quite put my finger on it.
Really? Seems pretty simple to me.
Air forehead, don't destroy what little respect I have for you. I was expecting something a little more sensible. I guess I was wrong. What's all this about, Prosecutor Gavin?
His simple story simply makes no sense. Think, that night my guitar caught fire, yes. The cause may have been this indeed. However, the guitar caught fire during the second set. Ah, that's right, of course. The guitar caught fire during Lamar's song. Indeed, yet the shooting happened during the third set.
The two are utterly unrelated. Yes, that must have been what was bugging me. The whole premise for this is faulty.
See, his story makes no sense. Are you sure about that?
What exactly do you mean, Mr. Justice?
Maybe it's not the premise for my explanation of the switch that's at fault. Maybe it's our premise for the entire case so far.
What premise is this specifically?
I'm glad you asked. I'm saying that maybe the killing didn't take place during the third act.
What's this?
But Detective Emma Skye heard shots and found the body.
The fucking thing in the hallway.
All this happened in the third act. Gunshots rang out. And according to his testimony, Machi was in the dressing room at the time.
Where are you going with this, Mr. Justice?
Stay with me, Your Honor. He also told us this in his testimony. Namely, that the victim had already been shot. We all heard gunshots, but no one saw the shooting.
This is insane.
Just before the shooting took place, the shooter was heard on his headset, telling someone to press the switch. The next moment, Prosecutor Gavin's guitar burst into flame. We know that a remote igniter was inside the guitar. From all these facts, we can only draw one conclusion. The crime did not take place during the third act, but during the ballad performance during the second act.
What? Order, order, order. That goes against the evidence.
What does, Your Honor?
This crime was carried out according to the lyrics of the song, yes?
Hey, he's right. Look. The bullet is supposed to come after the fire. You're thinking about it the wrong way. Huh? Look. Why would the shooter craft these events to the day to follow the lyrics anyway? It's an awful lot of trouble to go through, with little merit for the person doing it.
Well, I'm sure whoever it is had some reason.
Yes, they did. A reason that made it advantageous to follow the lyrics.
You're saying the order was reversed on purpose? Reversed, Prosecutor Gavin. If the crime followed the lyrics strictly, then yes. The shooting would have to come after the guitar burst into flames. Yet our forehead has raised another possibility. He's claiming that the bullet came not after, but just before the fire. Couldn't put it better myself.
We were only meant to think that the shooting came after the guitar burst into flame. That was the criminal's objective. The crime followed the lyrics to a point. That was just a ruse. Why else would the killer risk discovery by moving the body? That was the final touch to make us think that he followed the lyrics the whole way.
This is some fucking Danganronpa 2-3 shit. God. Order, order. That would explain this most unusual situation.
It does. The killer changed the order of events to create himself an alibi. In other words, the killer was someone who had an alibi for the third set, but not the second.
Objection!
I was hoping it wouldn't come to this, but sadly it has. Let me tell you why your little fairy tale makes no sense at all. Well, it sounds good, I'll give you that. You've given us reason why the killer bothered following the lyrics of my song. But I question your logic. It was flawed from the very beginning.
Flawed?
Yes, a contradiction there, Forehead, one I've pointed out several times, no less. At the time of the crime, the small window of the scene was closed. How could Lamar have heard the voice through it? Oh. I know that you would like to divert our attention from this critical fact, but you're basing your entire line of reasoning on a false premise.
Right. Lamar's testimony is my entire case. The voice she heard, the shooter's voice. What if she couldn't hear it, Apollo? Look, what do we have? What do we have? A man saying press the switch. And near the crime scene, we have a switch, which acts as a remote trigger for an igniter. And last but not least, Prosecutor Gavin's flaming guitar. Can't be all coincidence. But how do I make it work?
I see a more direct line of questioning is required. Well, the crime scene was investigated immediately after the crime. That window was closed. Care to tell us how Lamar heard the voices? A key point to be sure. Mr. Justice, can you explain this to the court?
Okay, Justice. Got one thing to prove and one thing only. Lamar heard a voice. And she heard it during the second set. Think, how is Lamar able to hear a voice?
She was somewhere else.
Right? No. Maybe? No. Right? Has to be. I think there is a trapdoor that leads to the vent systems. It's got to be a trapdoor that leads from in between the middle of the stage, underneath the seats, and up through the tower.
You're somewhere else.
When we investigated the scene, the window was closed. The shooter had no reason to close it, had it been open either. meaning it was impossible to hear the voice through that window.
Ah, it's good to hear you making sense again. For a moment I was afraid you might be Borginian too.
As I was saying, Lamar could not have heard a voice through that window. There can only be one explanation. He heard the voice from another location entirely.
What's this? You do amuse me so. Here I thought you had the good sense. Here I thought you and good sense were back on speaking terms. Now I'm afraid you and good sense speak two entirely different languages. Shall I interpret for you, Air Forehead? Lamar clearly stated she heard a voice through that small window. There's only one small window at the scene.
Are you sure? Think about it. Isn't there another small window at that scene? There is?
Ah, another look. He wants us to ask him. Very well. You claim Lamar heard the voice from another location. Mr. Justice, show us the location. Show us where this location was. Lamar heard the voice from here. Is it this? I think it's the vent, right? This is where Lamar heard that voice from. That's no small window. That's an air vent.
What did she tell us? She said she's a Borginian, unfamiliar with our language. It's not a stretch to imagine she called this air vent a small window.
Objection!
Now you've done it. You've gone beyond ridiculous and into ludicrous. Lamar was up in the ventilation system listening to this man's voice.
That's the only logical explanation, yes.
Logical? I don't think this word means what you think it means, Air Forehead.
Okay. What about it isn't logical?
Ha! Hardly merits saying. Why would Lamar be in the ventilation system? Hiding like a rat. No offense intended to her, of course.
The explanation is simple, Prosecutor Gavin. Isn't it, Lamar? You've been listening to our discussion here, yes? Yes. I admit, it had me quite confused since yesterday. Yes, the small window was closed. Why should that mean I could not hear through it? I feared our prosecutor might himself need an interpreter.
Ugh!
The problem here is words. Lamar, this small window through which you heard the voice, was it high on the ceiling of the room? Was it up high on the ceiling of the room? Not low on a wall? Yes, it was up on the ceiling.
What? God, that's what a stupid misunderstanding. Order. I will have order. Witness, you will clarify this statement to the court. Are you in fact saying that you were up above the ceiling of the room? That's where you heard the moment. That's where you heard the moment of the crime.
Yes, in fact I was. I'm sorry, I never imagined it would become such an important point. Yes, well, why the heck were you up there?
I believe it's time for another testimony.
I'm not sure I can't.
May I remind you that this is a murder trial. We will hear your testimony. Tell us why you witnessed the crime from above the ceiling of that room. Please. Well, looks like I'm on the right track.
Yes, sir, I was above the ceiling when I heard the voice.
There's so much more room there. Literally anyone could have come through here. Not only... What do you mean only Machi could fit in here? What? What? That's so fucking stupid.
I had heard there was a small window there before. It was in the middle of my performance. I had no time to report what I had heard. As to why I was there, I cannot say. I am bound to secrecy on this matter.
Bound to secrecy?
In my line of work, one has many obligations to uphold.
You say you were in the middle of your performance. So this did happen during the second set.
I did not witness the crime, you must understand. I only know what I heard.
Yes, but you must tell us what you were doing in detail. That's what the cross-examination is for. Yeah, Air Forehead?
My mission in this court is to discern the truth. No obligation, no binding pact may hinder that mission. Very well. Mr. Justice, you may begin the cross-examination. What are you going to do, Apollo? Find out the truth. It was up above the ceiling for a reason. I just have to get that out of her. We can figure it out pretty easily. We just have to ask Gavin. Hey Gavin, do you know how Lamore disappeared? Above the ceiling. Can you be more specific? I cannot. Because you're bound to secrecy? Yes. To tell the truth, I was not supposed to even say that I was above the ceiling. I dare not say more. Doesn't sound like I'll be able to coax it out of her just by asking. By small window, you mean the air vent? I only remembered I needed to be careful where I put my hands and feet. I cannot see the light coming through the window, of course. The air vent grate could trip you up, certainly. So I was walking very carefully when I heard the gunshots. Startled, I crouched and listened. This is when I heard the voice coming from the room. Darian's voice. I knew that something terrible had happened, yet... So without a word, you just let the third set start? After the curtain closed for the second set, there was still much to do. You could have prevented this whole misunderstanding if you'd only told us sooner. Yes, perhaps I could have. I see little point in badgering the witness. What's done is done. The mind works differently when one is in the middle of a performance. Why, I've lost my voice in the middle of a show and kept on singing, completely unaware. Singing without a voice? If only all contradictions were so obvious. If only you could get Lamore to talk. Pressuring her like this doesn't seem to be getting me anywhere. Exactly who bound you to secrecy? I'm not sure I'm allowed to say who it was. No, I think perhaps that is alright. It was just a name after all. It was Valiant Gramarye. Perhaps you know him? Valiant Gramarye. What? You mean Uncle Valiant? What? Valiant Gramarye. Who's Valiant Gramarye? A grand magician. One responsible for the illusion performed during our concert. Interesting reaction, Prosecutor Gavin. Lamore was bound to secrecy. It's gonna take some hard-hitting proof to make her talk. I think I know why she was up there. How do I prove it? I went there before. Minute performance, had no time for what I'd heard. The why I was there, I cannot say. Did we just present the videotape? You were there because of the performance? Yes? Objection! Yeah, music changed. Okay. Lamore, truth be told, the reason for your presence above the ceiling is quite clear. Especially when you consider what happened during your performance. What happened? Yes, it's all right here on this video. Watch it for the fucking 12th time. Yep, there goes his fucking... there goes his guitar. Or, okay, no, it could have been a little bit later.
It's still really funny.
As we can see, Lamar was clearly not on stage for her entire performance.
Ah,
Though it saddens me to be so realistic. Lamar is incapable of actually vanishing, let alone teleportation. So the only explanation is that she was hidden from view. And during that time, she moved to the back of the form. Apollo.
what, Trucy?
It's not nice to reveal a magician's secrets, and it's against the rules. But I'm a lawyer, I'm not supposed to be nice.
This is all very fascinating. How is it possible? There's only 20 seconds between when she disappears and reappears. She couldn't have moved that fast. Is something wrong, Prosecutor Gavin?
This was his concert, his show. He knows how the illusion was performed.
Aha!
He's just realizing his own oversight. Let's look at the cross-section diagram again. Here we can trace a route through the ceiling. It goes from the stage, through the backstage, to the rear of the form.
Ah!
Recall Lamar's testimony from yesterday. On my way from the stage to the backstage exit. There's something like a little window there. That's how I saw it.
Went from the stage to the backstage exit. A perfect description of this route above the ceiling.
Lamar knew of this because of her part in the illusion. But she wasn't the only one who knew.
What?
Just now in the lobby, Maji told me something. I know if I open opening vent, I can leave stage and backstage.
He said that.
Oh, were you not informed, Prosecutor Gavin?
I knew about the Vanishing Act, of course. I had no idea of the route I had no idea of the route that would be used.
Why didn't the magician tell me? Magicians only reveal details of their act on a need-to-know basis. It's the bread and butter of a magician's life, you know. Which is why he bound Lamar to secrecy.
Well, Lamar?
I am impressed, Mr. Attorney. Machi was right about you.
So, what does this mean? Are you saying you used this route above the ceiling?
I did.
Well, that's that. I'm still a little confused.
Why is that, Your Honor?
As I said before. There was very little time between when she disappeared and when she reappeared. 20 seconds, tops. How could she do it so fast? Especially if she stopped to hear the shooter's voice.
That's a good question.
Can the witness explain this to the court?
I cannot.
Very well, Mr. Justice.
Yes?
It's all up to you. Do your thing.
What thing, Your Honor?
You need to explain how Lamar was able to teleport like she did. Or I'm throwing your case out with the bathwater.
Ugh. Why do I get picked on? It's Lamar who is going along with the program here. As I've stated before, I am not at liberty to speak of the illusion that night in detail.
Then you'll just have to tell us what you can. We'll hear your testimony on this. Mr. Justice, it will be your job to wring the truth out of her.
Yes, if you would, please.
Right.
Feel like a student before the finals. Good luck, Apollo.
Shit, man. I don't know how that works. Fucking magic. What do you want?
Further read exactly as I was instructed. There's an emergency exit in the backstage where the stage hand waited. From there, one can enter the forum on the opposite side of the stage. Plan was for me to move there in 2 minutes. I was on my way when I heard the voice.
2 minutes, you say? The mystery deepens.
It was too much to hope that the judge would come up with something.
As does my curiosity. Take it away, Mr. Justice.
Right, Your Honor. All I have to do is find the contradiction between what Lamar is saying and what we can see plainly in the video. I figured it out already. I'm a magician after all. Don't tell me. Not a chance. I can't reveal another magician's secrets. Come on. Hey, you're supposed to be on my side here. God, do I have to watch the fucking video again? How did you proceed along this route? How? Why, I walked. You arrived behind the forum, much too fast to have been walking. Tell the truth, Lamar. You rode some kind of vehicle.
What? A vehicle? What vehicle?
Ah, what a novel idea. I like it. Hey, that's not a bad guess. Wrong, but not bad. Aha, yes. Laugh at the dumb attorney. I don't mind. I'm sorry, but the girl is right. That vent was much too small for vehicles. It was a tight fit. Even I had to crouch as I walked. I cannot imagine a vehicle that would fit in such a small space. Ah, it wasn't a vehicle. What was it?
You've been going for a while there, Mr. Justice. Too bad. Ready for the next part.
And I feel like I'm in some sort of quiz show. Did everyone on the concert staff know about the trick? Not at all. Only a few where I needed to help. See, like I said, it's on a need-to-know basis. Not many people knew about the trick.
What were these stagehands required to do?
One needed to open the emergency exit. The door to the stairs is locked, but once through there, from there one can enter the forum on the opposite side of the stage. When you came back out, you were behind the audience? Yes, that is how it worked.
Not a bad show, if I do say so myself.
That's Uncle Valiant for you. The old Gramiri touch.
But on the video, you were only gone for 20 seconds. How is that possible?
That's the part I don't get either. Yes, it would be hard to go so far in only 20 seconds. Two minutes? Yes, it can be done in 1 minute if you are running. Running? In that cramped dark tunnel above the ceiling? Haha. Mr. Attorney, have you forgotten? Dark or lit, it makes no difference to me.
Ah, that is true, but... They're saying that on the night of the concert, you made the trip in 2 minutes.
Yes, though I nearly didn't make it in time. You see, I stopped halfway. Lamar disappears on the video for 20 seconds. She says she made it the trip in 2 minutes. How? If you want my professional opinion, I'll bet the answer's right there on the video.
Well, Mr. Justice, perhaps you have some evidence for us. Something that can explain the discrepancy between the video and her testimony. Ah.
Evidence explaining the discrepancy? Do I have something like that? I think it might be the brooch, but I don't know why. She disappeared. She had it on... That's the only thing that's different between the two appearances. Why would she be gone for 2 minutes, though? Fuck brooch. It's the only thing I can think of, and I don't think there's any other thing here to present. It has to be this. One piece of evidence that explains the discrepancy between the video and the testimony.
Lamar, you happen to remember this brooch? Aha, the brooch. We saw that yesterday, did we not?
It was found at the scene, Your Honor.
You're bringing this up now, why? Thought we'd already determined when it was dropped.
So did I, but we hadn't. Take another look at the video. Oh god, why does fucking keep playing this? Here you can see she's wearing the brooch.
So she is.
Let's look a bit later.
What? The brooch. It's gone.
What?
Yes.
The brooch disappears in the short space of 20 seconds. And it takes a full minute to run from the stage to the backstage. Which means there can only be one explanation. The Lamar we see before the Vanishing Act and the Lamar we see after are two different people. I knew it! I called it! It's a body double!
Whoa. What?
The brooch was found on the floor of the crime scene. Not just on the floor, but on the floor directly beneath the air vent. Lamar, tell me, did you drop the brooch on your way from the stage to the backstage? At the very moment you witnessed the crime? Yes, I think I did.
Order, Prosecutor Gavin. Your expression, I gather you had no idea this was the case there, Judge. I, of course, knew about it. What? Don't get me wrong, I wasn't hiding it. It just never occurred to me. But the switch in the shooting took place at the same time. So, I was right. There was a switch. There was. Just before the stage's tower rose, Lamar was replaced. While we're on the subject, just who was this replacement Lamar? Why, the man behind the illusion, Valiant Grimmery. Grammary? Grammary. Fuck, I don't know how to say it. Grammary. Grammary. That's quite the illusion, but I still don't get that. I still don't get one thing. Yes? The switch happened before the tower rose, correct? So you weren't on the stage. That's right. But this fake Lamar is still singing. And she's pretty good. That's true. Come on, Apollo. That's an easy one. They were just playing a recording. Gavin is on some kind of air guitar band, for all I know. Oh? You mean I'm wrong? When we play a show live, we play live, no recordings. Perhaps you can explain them more. Very well. Yes, do tell, and add it to your testimony. I had to keep singing even while I moved. You were singing? Yes. Mr. Gavin expressed a dislike for recordings. So I used this. Wait, so you were singing the whole time? Even when you were crawling above the ceiling towards the backstage? Why should it matter where I sing? Whenever where I go is the same darkness. But if you were singing while you were walking... That's right. Wouldn't the shooter and victim have heard? She was singing right over their heads after all. That is right. Are you sure? You have to be pretty hard of hearing to miss someone singing in the ceiling. Once again, we come back to the state of the scene of the crime. What state? Ah, I know what he means. That old speaker, Apollo. The speaker? That speaker was blaring at the time of the murder. Ah, it's for monitoring the stage from this room. Monitoring? Pipes in real-time feed from the stage microphones. Useful for knowing when your setup is coming. Gavin is so fucking stupid. He knew all of this. What? What? Why did none of this occur to Gavin? What? Satisfied? Fuck no, you're an idiot. That dressing room was fitted with a large speaker playing a direct feed from the stage. At my request, actually. So Lamar's singing in the ceiling. Sounded just like Lamar singing over the speaker. Ingenious. Her voice was hidden by her voice. Ah. Lamar? I've just remembered something. Do tell. When I heard the noise, the gunshots, yes? It startled me, so I... So you? I stopped singing. What? I forgot the words I was supposed to sing. The song stopped? Thankfully, it was the very beginning of the second verse. So not many would notice. Forehead, that mixing board I lent you. Where is it?
The mixing? Huh? That machine, Apollo. The one that breaks music into tracks.
Oh, this. I'd completely forgotten about it, because it's a completely irrelevant mechanic that was used specifically for the DS.
The song does stop there.
It does. I must have missed it.
Look at the lyric sheet at the top of the second verse. See where it says pleasure, pleasure? Now listen again. There's only one pleasure. God, it does it misses the lyric.
This is evidence indeed. I believe we are guilty of making a terrible mistake.
Crime didn't happen during the third set. It happened during the second, during Lemoire's ballad.
If that is true, then no one on stage during the second set could have been the shooter.
Which means that Darian Crescent could have done it.
He wasn't on stage for the second set.
Well, Prosecutor Gavin?
Fascinating. I don't believe I've ever had a trial turn around quite so thoroughly. Yet one problem remains. What's that, Prosecutor Gavin? Air Forehead's theory does have a certain kind of logic to it. It is entirely based upon Lamar's testimony. Yes? Is there a problem with this? Well, it's quite simple, though it pains me to say it. What if she's lying to protect the defendant?
You have no proof.
All I'm saying is that the truth is as yet unclear, until we hear directly from the man himself. The man? You don't mean... Yes. Though he's a friend and band member, Darian Crescent must take the stand. I see no other way. As someone with a new perspective on this case. As a suspect, to be frank.
Finally, the rat's come out of his hole.
And I'm ready to catch him. Darian Crescent, get ready for justice. This is as good a time as any to pause for a brief recess. The prosecution will summon the witness. Have him here and ready by the time we begin. I'm the last man who needs to be reminded of what his duties are. Very well, court is adjourned for a 15-minute recess. Oh, ho, 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 ho. We're getting there. We're almost there. Got it on the ropes.
Apollo, I can't believe it. It really happened during the second act. And right in the middle of Lamar's performance. The reason why she was in the air vent. And that switch in the flaming guitar. When you link it all together, that's what you end up with. I knew you had what it took.
Oh, no, that's Nick. I knew you had what it took.
Ah, Daddy. Mr. Wright. You believed in me?
Not really. Huh? I just thought I'd make a cool entrance and I just thought I'd make a cool entrance and saying hiya.
Why do I even bother hoping? Where have you been lately, Daddy? You haven't been coming to the office at all.
Sorry about that, Trucy. I'm on a secret mission.
Secret? You mean like you're undercover?
Like Mr. Latouche, only shorter and not as well dressed.
Oh no, what if you're shot too? Would I do a thing like that to you? Anyway, I'm off for a while again. Huh? You're leaving? Oh, one thing before I go. What? Good luck. Right. Is that all you came to say? I think you have things pretty much under control. You'll get Machito off the hook, no doubt. Yeah, but... You're after that detective, aren't you? Darien Crescent. Won't be easy proving what he did. Especially not under the current court system. Oops, dropped the dice. The current court system? What did Prosecutor Gavin say during the trial? The case is based on one fragile assumption. Namely, that our Diva Divine is telling the truth. But what about all the proof? The brooch and the switch. A piece of jewelry and a lyrical blunder. There are plenty of other ways to explain these things. Blame guitar, too. All because you lack definitive proof of their connection to the case. But if the sultry songstress is lying, your case smells like butter in a frying pan, leaving behind the faintly singed scent of failure. So what do I do? Like I said, good luck. Be aware that it will be impossible to prove his guilt by conventional methods. Ugh. Well, that reminds me. I have something to give you from our detective friend. Detective Sky? Emma? Let's see. This bag of snacks here was meant for me. And this, and here it is. What are those? They don't look very good snacking material. They were found at the scene. Analysis of the fragments revealed traces of gunpowder. Gunpowder? Probably a firecracker or something similar. The ones kids are into these days. These fragments were found under the sofa at the scene of the crime, actually. Oh, that was the gunshots we heard! It's 2 firecrackers! Under the sofa? Hey, Apollo! That's right where we found that little device thingy. Right, this. Finally, some evidence makes sense. That's all for me, I suppose. Let's take a quick look at that. So, you think this was some kind of firecracker? Yeah, or one of those noisemakers. Like you shoot off at New Year's. You know that in China they use firecrackers on New Year's to scare off evil? So it's kind of like the same thing. Really? I had no idea. Well, did you know this? It takes more than 500 peanuts to make one 12-ounce jar of peanut butter. At least my useless fact had something to do with the evidence. What? Don't be mean, Apollo. See you after the verdict. Maybe. Right. Every man has an igniter inside him. Excuse me? Find Darien Crescent's igniter and set it off. And he walked through the door, just like that. Just like a magician. Normally. What does he want us to do? No conventional methods. What does that mean? I guess we just have to take his advice and hope it makes sense when the time comes. I guess. We're almost at the finish line. Hang in there, Trucy. Alright. Let's do this, rocker boy. Can't wait to see that fucking stupid pompadour explode. Order's back in session. Prosecutor Gavin, where is Detective Crescent? In the witness lounge, ready to be called at any time. Very well. Might I add, I don't believe in any of this. Darien was the first detective I ever worked with. We stopped working together when he moved to Criminal Affairs, Division 3. But as a guitar player, it fires my imagination. That's nice, but it has nothing to do with the matter at hand. Correct? Oh, I know, Air Forehead. Very well. Call the final witness to the stand. Detective Darien Crescent.
You and your stupid fucking haircut. Name and occupation, please.
Darian Crescent, Detective, Criminal Affairs Division 3. That's the Internal Affairs Division, for those of you who don't know. And I'm a guitarist for the Gavineers. Maybe you've heard of us.
Do you fully understand the circumstances under which you will stand before us today?
Yeah, I understand, Your Honor. What I don't understand is how you let this happen, partner. You gave me your word I wouldn't be standing here.
Situations change, Darian. And don't call me partner.
Pfeh, so much for old friends.
See what you're doing, Darian. You're pressing the prosecution. Your Honor, if we could begin the trial?
Hearts fell over.
Yes, it's high time we did. Let's hear your testimony. You may begin with your response to Lamore's testimony. In fact, if in fact you have anything to say about it.
Back. Oh, I got plenty to say. Lying must be a national pastime in Borgina. And wherever you're from, Mr. Justice. Ha!
Conventional methods are out the window, huh?
Here goes nothing.
Every single one of these is going to be a press.
The diva's lying, plain and simple. She's got nothing to back up her story. In the first place, she never heard my voice. She forgot the words because she heard gunshots, as if. Didn't Detective Emma Skye hear those gunshots during the third set anyway? The shooting took place when I was on stage, man.
So you claim Lamore's testimony was a lie?
Hey, don't get me wrong, I dig what she's doing, trying to protect that kid. And she's got the court eating vague statements out of her hand just because she's blind.
You go too far, Darian.
Look, all I'm saying is you got a reliable witness. Why not listen to the detective?
Detective Skye. I see. Mr. Justice, you may begin the cross-examination.
You didn't waste any time finding her weak spot. Can't do this with Lamar's testimony alone. Have to find some other way to prove when the shooting took place. Actually, I was there too. So I hear. Which means you heard them too, right? The gunshots.
Yes.
We heard gunshots. Neither Emma or I actually saw the shooting, mind you. Ha. Guess you and Lamar got the same excuse then.
You know one thing for certain here. There were gunshot-like sounds that emanated from that room during the third set. What we must determine is whether those sounds were actually gunshots.
Might you heard them too? Remember he said he ran through the air duct when he heard them. How do we figure out just what those gunshots were during the third set?
Present.
Firecracker. Some things were found at the crime scene after yesterday's trial.
What things?
The first was this small device.
That's the remote-triggered igniter.
Correct. And one more thing.
What are those? The remnants of something burnt. Not another guitar, I hope.
Traces of gunpowder were found on those fragments.
We have a report that it was something like a firecracker.
Hey. Eh? How did Gavin know about this?
What, you think Detective Skye works for you? I received the report this morning before coming here.
That's when I made my decision, actually.
What decision is this, Prosecutor Gavin?
I registered Darian as a witness in today's trial. Just in case.
Damn! That's fucking cold, Gavin.
This raises another possibility. Those gunshot-like sounds during the third set. Could have been two firecrackers rigged to go off by remote control. You got an active imagination, don't you? Shouldn't say every little thing you think. Your explanation there seems a bit too convenient to me. How so? So you're saying these firecrackers just happened to go off? Right when two witnesses came walking by. Ha! That's right. Darian was out on stage when this happened, Apollo. How would you know when someone was backstage right then? If a firecracker goes off in the forest and there's no one to hear. You get my drift? I go through all the trouble, man. Ugh. How do I explain this? You may not look it, but Darian is a gifted detective. Show any weakness and he's sure to find it. You may not look it, partner. Gee, thanks, man. It reminds me. I happened to pass through that very hallway several times that day myself. And I saw something odd there just before the third set. Something odd? A headset, the kind all the band and staff members were wearing. That's right. We picked this up in front of the door to that dressing room. What if the headset wasn't dropped, but placed? And what if it was turned on? You could hear what was going on in the hallway, even if you were out on stage. Fair. Whose side are you on, Gavin? Listen to me, Darian. There are no sides in a court of law. Which is why I now turn to you, Air Forehead. I have a question for you. Huh? For me? The igniter and the burnt fragments that were found at the scene of the crime. Certainly a possibility that they were part of a ruse to fake the sound of gunshots. Throw the headset from the hallway into the mix and you could fabricate an alibi. We're still no closer to proving anything. Those gunshots might have been real or fake. We can't say. Ugh. You've raised the possibility that the shots were heard during the third set were faked. Now you need to prove the other half of the case. The other half? Look, I'll just tell him. He wants you to prove the thing went down during the second act, while the little piano player was on stage. That right, Gavin? Indeed, if you can't prove that, then to continue the cross-examination would be pointless. Well, Mr. Justice, can you prove the crime took place during the second set? Yeah, I think. You better know, Apollo, otherwise we're through. Can be proven. Make it sound like someone else is going to come along and do it for you. Continue the cross-examination then, shall we? Witness your testimony, if you would. Isn't going to be easy. Need some decisive proof and fast. Ha! You ready, kid? 'Cause I am. Mixing board, or do I press him? Press him here. Gunshots heard during the third set could have been... What, some kind of setup? I've heard that one before. We need proof, Apollo. We need proof that the shooting took place during the second set. You know how to do it, I'm all ears. The gunshots are the key after all. What do you mean? Well, Lamar said she heard them, right? Right in the middle of her illusion when she was up above the ceiling. She forgot the words to her song, yeah. If you can prove the gun was shot right when she missed those lyrics. We're home free, I think. True, not easy, but true. I'm going to prove that. Take a look through our evidence. And if there's something there. Hey, you're supposed to be cross-examining me. Better refrain from private discussions during cross-examination, Mr. Justice. Right. Sorry, Your Honor. Let me take a quick look through the court record. Definitive proof that the gunshots were during the second act. Oh! This is the guitar serenade now. Okay. So we can turn off the metronome. In the piano. It's gotta be. There it was. Right there. Hurry up. I can hear it in her voice. Yes, because her voice would be the one picking it up. This has to be track 1. Right when she stops singing, you hear the gunshots. Bang. But eager to paint Lamar as a liar, isn't he? Yeah, because her testimony is basically our entire case. This is tough. What do we do? Got a few ideas. Need to find another way to prove it didn't happen the way he says it did. Okay, last one. Present. Mixing board. Seems there was clear proof left behind. Right here in Lamar's song. Her song. What exactly is this device thingy? New variety of gramophone, perhaps. How old are you, Judge? I had so much hope for you at the very end of at the very end of Trials and Tribulations, because you were just so with it, with all of the wild shit that was going on, with all the channeling and whatnot. Why are we back to this? Why are we back to you questioning if this is a gramophone? God, it was so good, and now we're back here. Come on, we just used this. Don't get me started on gramophone. This device was used to record the performance part by part. Part? Move the sliders to adjust the volume. Each instrument is adjustable separately, Lamar's voice included. Oh. Well, what does this prove? According to Lamar's testimony, the moment of the shooting, she forgot the words to the song. Ah, you intend to examine the recording at that moment, yeah? We might even hear those gunshots. Exactly. Ha! Ridiculous. His pompadour's dropping. How are you supposed to hear gunshots back in the dressing room out on the stage? Have you forgotten, Darian? We're all wearing these headsets. Oh. We were all deeply involved in our performance. But Lamar's headset would have picked up what she heard all the same. Let's get to analyzing that recording. Right now. Lamar stopped singing when she heard the shots fired. Find the spot and I'll find the gunshots. Number 1. Your Honor, listen closely to this part. This is the track with Lamar's vocals.
I did hear something faintly there, yes. Why? It sounded like a gunshot. What? This has to be some kind of mistake. God, it's so fucking cute. It's so serious. This is fucking pompadour. I believe a case has been made. Gunshots were heard during the second set, which means Lamoire's testimony was true. Ah. Order. So, she was telling the truth about what she heard.
They're the man speaking, not Mr. Latouche.
What did he say?
It's over. Press the switch now. Just after that, there was a gunshot. Then a guitar caught fire.
Detective Crescent, you weren't on stage during the second set.
You could have done it.
Why do we only hear one gunshot on the recording? Weren't 2 bullets fired from this weapon?
Lamar was moving through the air vent, Your Honor. She must not have been close enough for her mic to catch the first shot. But then, as she passed over the dressing room, the gun fired again and Mr. Latouche's life was taken. Well, Detective Crescent. Once again, I'm reminded of something.
Our performance that day. Your performance.
See, the mixing board jogged my memory. You were there too, Air Forehead. What's with this today? Problem after problem, mock tongue. My hog won't start, my guitar case is busted, my guitar has been burnt to a crisp, and on top of it all off, someone's dead. Then there was that performance just now. What was that all about? This part's off. This part's off. Wait, which is that? Second guitar. Ah. It was you, Darian. Thought it was strange at the time. How could you miss such a simple cue? I know you. I know how you play. You're better than that.
Yeah, well, You what?
And Prosecutor Gavin, what are you getting at? Talking about the murder weapon, Mr. Latouche's .45 caliber hand cannon. As we have learned, even the shooter doesn't go unscarred with a revolver that size. Kickback's enough to dislocate your shoulder if you're an amateur. Wait. His playing was affected because he hurt himself shooting that revolver?
Ha! You're forgetting something.
Yes, Detective Crescent?
I'm a trained police officer, you know? That firearms training, plenty of it. I'm no amateur.
The standard sidearm issued to police officers is the .38 caliber weapon. A much tamer beast. Also, the murder weapon belonged to the victim, Mr. Latouche, which suggests there was a struggle between the killer and the victim.
So, the killer might not have been holding the revolver correctly when he fired. Is that what you mean?
I thought it occurred to me, yes.
Well, does the witness have anything to say to this? Detective Crescent!
What I want to ask is what Mr. Sleeves rolled up ready for action has to say.
Hey you, attorney.
Me?
Exactly which piece of your evidence is decisive again?
You got a little noise on the tape that could be anything. And you have an alleged guitar cue missed due to a .45 caliber kickback. I weep for this case, Gavin, I really do.
You can line up your little weak pieces of evidence all you want. I didn't shoot that manager. And that's the obvious truth. The witness has a point. The defense's arguments, while persuasive, are not decisive. I believe we should hear what the witness has to say in response to the case so far. Your testimony, please, Detective Crescent. Tell us your reasons why you couldn't have done it.
Come on, why do I even want to kill that manager? You want a reason? Easy. I got no motive, man. This was the Diva's first trip to this country, right? How could I possibly know her manager? If I didn't know him, why would I want to kill him?
Simple reason indeed. Prosecutor Gavin.
Is it the case that Mr. Latouche had not been to our country before? Going to our records, yes. Not even once.
I see. Very well. Mr. Justice, you may begin the cross-examination.
Right, now I need to find a motive? Yeah, kinda. Her manager, sure, but Mr. Lotus was. Oh, right. Sorry. An Interpol agent, wasn't he? I just have trouble picturing that big lunk as an undercover cop, you dig? Not a very good one, seeing how he got wasted. That's cold, dog. Not that it matters either way. So he had no reason to kill the man, whatever he was. That's the same for Machi. No motive was proven for him. Come on, he traveled around the world with that old fart. He had plenty of time to come up with a motive of his own. Ugh. More than I sure did. I mean, think about it. You didn't fraternize with him at all during the concert? Fraternize? Ha! I don't think we exchanged a single word. As if anyone would want to talk to that old Eastern blockhead. That's racist. Oh, hold on. Whoa! You can't just drop that. Holy shit, Darian. Now the ladies, that's a different matter altogether. So you see, I didn't know him, I would want to kill him. You sure about that? What? Wipe that look off your face before I do it for you. Listen, you try throwing one of your wild accusations. I'll throw it back at you so hard you'll forget who you're accusing of what. Your forehead. Perhaps it's best if you let your evidence do the talking, yeah? Man, what evidence? That's what I want to know. So he's using this motive. So he's using this motive question as ammunition, huh? Well, I've got ammunition too. Evidence. Gotta be something with this, right? Aaron, you're a detective with international affairs, right? Yeah? What of it? Even if this was Mr. Lotus's first trip to this country, you still could have met him prior to the concert? Huh? Why don't you take any international trips in international affairs? That's right. Well, Detective Crescent. That's your game, isn't it? Guess I'd better confess then. Confess? Yeah, it's a bit of an embarrassment, but I've never been sent overseas. What? You're an international... See, me and Plain's got a difference of opinions. We don't like each other much. My condolences there, Forehead, but he's telling the truth. He never set foot outside the country. I can guarantee that. As it turns out, my division has plenty of work to do locally as well. That's so unfair. How could I possibly know her manager? Replica of Cocoon, which is a remedy for incuritis. We've got the newspaper article. Chief Justice's son who was afflicted with incuritis. Got no motive. This country. Possibly no manager. Why would I want to kill him? I guess for the cocoon, right? That's the only... That's why he was out here, for the cocoon. That would be the only reason why... he would have any problems. Objection! Your Honor, take a look at this. What's that, Looks like candy. It's not. Don't lick it, please. Detective Crescent, ever seen this? Looks like a piece of candy. What it is evidence. Don't lick it before you try it. Specifically, this is a replica of a cocoon. It was found amongst the victim's belongings. A cocoon? Never seen one that color. That's a variety only found in the Republic of Borgina. Nowhere else. Alright. But what is this cocoon replica doing in my courtroom? Surely this has nothing to do with a motive for killing Mr. Latouche. Does it? It does. Wait. I think it does. You don't sound confident, man. A cocoon. This is one of those silky cocoons. The kind that you can make, well, silk out of. Not this one. This cocoon makes a powerful curative. Curative? For what? Apparently it's most efficacious at treating a disease through thought incurable. It's the only medicine of its kind. However, it's illegal to take one of these healing cocoons out of Borgina. Whatever for. If it's such a miracle cure, why not share it with the world? Yeah, that's what I've been wondering. We looked into the matter at some length. Apparently, it isn't difficult at all to manufacture the remedy for the cocoon. Yet if you change the process only slightly, you can easily make a large quantity of something else entirely. Deadly poison, in fact. What? There was an incident several years ago where some of these got out in the black market. It caused quite a commotion in the global community, though the media was kept largely unaware. Intriguing. All this has led to a strict ban on the cocoon's export, one rigidly enforced by Interpol amongst others. Interpol? Right. The victim, Romain Latouche, was an Interpol agent. Detective Crescent, you insist on referring to him as manager. That is misleading. Romain Latouche wasn't killed as a manager. He was killed as an undercover agent. So I was trying to smuggle this gumball into the country? That what you're trying to say? I'm saying that could well be a motive for murder. Oh, so I was gonna sell it on the black market, make myself a pretty penny. Ridiculous. Totally unthinkable. Unthinkable, you say? Why? Perhaps it's time for another testimony about this smuggling of cocoons business. It seems incredibly off the wall, but I think we're winning, so let's go with it. International Affairs got a memo about these cocoons. Interpol's all hot and bothered about them. Can't sell them on the black market, too dangerous. Yeah, cocoon smuggling ain't exactly lucrative anymore. Man, I'm in international affairs. I know the deal. Indeed. Interpol wanted these cocoons bad enough to send Mr. Latouche undercover. You kids think of the craziest things. But no way I'm gonna risk life and limb just to get my hands on some dirty cocoon money. Not the most noble of statements, but duly noted. According to the reports, these cocoons top Interpol's list. Selling them to an underground organization would be risky. Very well, you may begin the cross-examination. This is the only motive I've got. He was up to something. I'm gonna find out what. Does he have incuritis? Oh, that's fucking spicy. Dangerous? Yeah, Interpol finds you, they arrest you on the spot. Or another marketeer might think you're part of a sting to take you out himself. Times have changed. But wouldn't scarcity drive up prices? Yeah, and attention. Every gangster and his brother would want a piece of that action. They'd turn your forehead into Swiss cheese before you could say objection. Maybe we could get him to cut his hair, too. He's on trial here again? Man, you so obviously know nothing about the market. And that's a bad thing? Don't even try to mess with me about this stuff. International affairs, I know the deal. It's on the black market. Cocoon smuggling ain't exactly lucrative anymore. maybe he has anxieties. Maybe it's not about the money. Maybe he needs a cocoon. Oh no! Darian, I'm so sorry. Why not choose a less dangerous buyer then? I would. How clueless are you? Everyone in the market's dangerous. Second they found out I was a cop, I could kiss my keister goodbye. Why sell to a black market buyer? How about someone like this? That article. That's about the Chief Justice's. A deadly poison can be extracted from the cocoon. But so can a cure. And not a cure for just any disease. A cure for incuritis. The incuritis? I've heard that somewhere. You went to visit a victim of the disease this morning. Ah! Why? That's the disease. That's the disease the Chief Justice's son has. You aren't saying. Our witness is a detective. We'd have had contact with the Chief Justice. You are saying the Chief Justice would never deal in contraband. Not even to save his own son's life? But even if the deal went through, why, it'd be an international scandal. That's Detective Crescent's insurance. If word ever got out, the one with his neck on the line would be the Chief Justice. Detective Crescent, is this true? First I'm a murderer, now I'm a smuggler? How many crimes are you trying to pin on me anyway? Distasteful as it is to think about. If the Chief Justice were the buyer, why, a seller couldn't hope for a better deal. A very cowardly seller. Don't let sleeves over there trick you. So I made a deal with the Chief Justice. Where's your proof? Well, oh yeah, and you're forgetting one other important thing. Do tell. Interpol isn't the only ones out there watching this. Organian Customs barely sleeps, so they're worried about cocoons getting out. So we were informed. Let's continue with the cross-examination. Not everything. Not this guitar. Objection! Actually, there is one way. What? One way to get something out of the country, no checks. What is it? You become a prosecutor. A prosecutor? I don't believe it. Believe it, Prosecutor Gavin. What was it that you told me yesterday at your office? Beautiful instrument. It was played lovingly for many years. Guitar befitting a woman like Lemoire. How did it end up here? Imagine how much I enjoyed playing it that night. She made it a present of it. The guitar is from Borgina. That it is. Couldn't carry it on the plane. Changes in air pressure and humidity ruined the wood. So we vacuum packed it in Lemoire's studio. I used a special shipping service available to me for transporting evidence. They brought it right up into my office for me. Pristine and untouched. Did I get that right, Prosecutor Gavin? Untouched? Quiet. The guitar was wrapped in several sheets and vacuum packed in Borginia. The pack was untouched the day of the concert. You saying that guitar was, with cocoons this small, it would have been very easy to use a guitar as a mule to smuggle a cocoon out of Borgina. What? Which reminds me, Prosecutor Gavin, that guitar had some work done on it recently, right? Work? Good memory here, forehead. Well, you know, guitars have a round hole at the front, called the sound hole. Well, they found something attached to the wood just inside the hole. A broken device of some sort. Broken device? Yes, this in fact. An igniter. Exactly. Consider this, if you will. What if that igniter wasn't the only thing that was attached inside of your guitar? You mean... It means this, of course. There's a way to get the cocoon out of the country. They could use the picky prosecutor Gavin's privileged guitar as a mule. And who better to do that than someone with access, like a member of the band?
Yo, orc!
Stupid fucking... What a dumb fucking pompadour.
Order.
So the igniter was placed in there for a clear reason, it seems. It was a safety precaution.
A precaution?
Ah, your forehead. At last it all comes together. Every strange thing that happened that day. Care to review? Maestro, the gentle sounds of Lamar's ballad, if you please. First, my keys were stolen, a harmless misdemeanor, which forced me to break the lock on my guitar case. Key was stolen to retrieve the cocoon from the guitar.
I see.
But things didn't go so well. The smuggler wasn't counting on the guitar being wrapped. Only a member of the band could get near that case. And wrapping the guitar would raise too many suspicions. And then the concert began. Right about this time, a very large problem presented itself to the smuggler.
What's that?
Mr. Latouche.
Ah,
Mr. Latouche was an undercover agent. Mr. Latouche, an undercover agent, was onto something. Oh, he would have known about the guitar. He'd only have to check the shipping records. So, Mr. Latouche tried to examine the guitar himself. If the cocoon were confiscated, then the gig would be up. The only thing left for the smuggler to do was to get rid of the whole lot. It's over. Press the switch now. The guitar burst into flames and the cocoon was lost. And then Mr. Latouche died, with Lamar there to witness it. There's your case.
brilliant, man. Detective Crescent?
I gotta know, you make up all that on the fly?
A made-up story.
Makes a great deal of sense, Darium.
Heh. Republic of Orgina? Sorry, man, but I haven't even been there.
Sure you haven't.
Ha! Let's see you make up a story for that, kid. How'd I hide the cocoon in the first place, huh?
It's not so hard to imagine. You had help. Forginian accomplice. That's all. That you had an accomplice was clear from the start. The voice Lamar heard proves it. You made this transmission from backstage, while your co-conspirator was on stage.
But who was it?
This is it, the coup de grace. And for once I know what I'm doing. There's only one person who could have helped him. Let's hear what Mr. Justice has to say then.
But be warned. Great accusation comes great responsibility. Make up your answer on the fly, as it were, and you'll be harshly penalized. Are you ready, Mr. Justice? Who's the smuggler's accomplice?
This is our client, Machi Tobai. There's only one person who meets all the requirements of the accomplice. And that person is the defendant, Machi Tobai.
But Mr. Justice, he's your client.
A defense attorney accusing his client, that's a new one. Are you sure no one is more unhappy about this than I? But I'm here to defend him in the murder of Mr. Latouche. And I stand by my statement earlier that he is innocent of that particular crime.
Indeed, the defendant is Borginian. He does meet the basic requirements to be the accomplice. But what if it was, in fact, Lamar?
It couldn't have been.
Well, you seem sure of yourself.
The reason is electronic signals, Your Honor.
Electronic signals?
Recall that this remote only works to a range of 30 feet. Beyond that is useless.
Yes, that's true.
Now think back to the testimony. When the shooter made his transmission, Lamar was in the air vent, right above the dressing room where the shooter stood. Let's look at the stage diagram. In in this area that the remote could reach from the air vent.
Well, looking at this, seems that Lamar could still have done the deed.
No. When the shooter made that transmission, the stage was slightly different than shown here. It was in the middle of the guitar's serenade. Part of the stage was raised. Prosecutor Gavin and the Lamar stand-in were in the air. They were on a tower which happens to be 15 feet tall, a very particular number to be called out. In other words, the remote couldn't have worked from Lamar's position in the air vent.
Ah.
Well, Detective Crescent, what do you say to that?
Your Honor? Yes, Detective.
Will we see the video where Gavin's guitar burns? Just one more time.
Well, I don't see why not.
What? Don't tell me he has a way out of this. That right there. Oh. Too bad, so sad, punk. Punk? First you were sleeves, then kid, now punk. You're losing rank fast, Apollo.
What exactly were you supposed to see in this video? Problem isn't in what we see. Correct, Damien? Correct, Darian?
Right, it's what you hear. We are musicians, after all. Care to explain for us non-musicians? Sure thing, punk. Let me get your yarn straight first. You're saying I ordered the wee pianist to set off that igniter? That right? Yes? Well, in order to do that, he'd have to press a switch. Am I right? Okay. I'll take another listen. Pay attention to the piano. Piano?
What seems to be the problem there? The piano sounded just fine.
That's the problem, man. You still don't get it. Ah. Yeah, how's he supposed to hit the switch if he's playing? You got Miss Diva, the guitar, the bass, the piano, and the drums. The only one with her hands free was the diva. And more. According to you, she couldn't have been the accomplice, could she? Ugh. Your accomplice would have had a hard time helping out. If they couldn't even press a switch. What? We found it in a piano. Like, it's under piano wire.
How many times we have to watch this fucking video?
Piano plays non-stop. You couldn't have pressed the switch.
Well, Mr. Justice, the piano does seem to be playing when the guitar catches fire.
Well, it's okay. We all make mistakes sometimes. Apollo, were you wrong? I can't be wrong. Everything makes perfect sense. How could it all just...
Strange.
What's strange?
No, it's just... something's odd about the performance there.
Odd?
Mr. Justice, Machitobai didn't press the switch. Then he could not be the accomplice you claim that he is.
But everything points to it. Every fact says he's the accomplice. You got the facts wrong, man. Here's some facts for you. Gavin's guitar is on fire, but the pianist didn't press that switch. In other words, your story is full of holes.
Mr. Justice, let's hear your final opinion on this matter now. Was the defendant Machitobai the accomplice? Your answer will reflect on everything you said here. Give it some thought.
Apollo, if Machi is not the accomplice, then our whole case is ruined. I know that. Has to be him. He's the only one who could have helped that smuggler. He had to have pressed the switch. You better find a way to prove it. Ah, what do I do? What do I do? There has to be something that doesn't fit. Something odd. Something odd. Wait a second. What? You thought of something? What was Gavin saying just now? Strange. Alright, let's hear it back so we don't have to waste time. That's Lamar's voice. Listen for a click. Bang. Not much to go on, but it's all I've got. What exactly did he hear that was odd?
Come up with something, Mr. Justice. May I remind you that everything rests on this. You prove Machito by press that switch. To your final answer. Yes. I don't know if you would call this proof per se, but I can prove it was possible. Then, as prosecutor, it falls to me to ask you to show us the evidence supporting this. Your forehead, you sure about this? Ha! Accepted, there's no evidence, man. See your evidence, Mr. Justice. Claimed you based the defendant press the switch. Mixing board. Basis for my claim is music, Your Honor. Music? What about music? Let's listen to the piano part around the time when the switch was pressed. Right before the guitar burst into flames. I heard a piano being played. But, doesn't that sound kind of simple? Simple? I think I know what he's suggesting. I think Machi could have played that part, with one hand. One hand? You only need one hand to press the switch. You could play the piano with the other. Ha! What you're saying... What, so you're some kind of piano savant? Actually, no. Then what do you know? You can't play a part like that with one hand. Ugh.
Maybe. I don't know what I'm talking about here. Wait, I know. Wait, I know. Hey, Trucy. Yeah? You got something? Mr. Wright, your father, he's a pianist. Could he... Oh, Daddy? He couldn't play a part like that even if he had 3 hands. So sorry. So sad for you. No, not really. Huh? That was just the easy way to prove it. It's always the hard way. Man, how are you gonna prove whether he played it with 1 hand or 2? You can't. I admit it will be rather difficult to prove. It's highly likely he was playing it with 1 hand. How do you know that? The clue is what Prosecutor Gavin described as sounding odd. What sounded odd? But I can tell by listening to a certain part of that song. No way. Well, it seems we've come to the moment of truth at last. Let's hear what Mr. Justice has to say for himself. It was the part that proves the defendant was playing with 1 hand. Right before the guitar burst into flame. Munch was definitely playing 1-handed just before the guitar caught fire. And one section of the song proves it. So it's something to compare to this part here. I think the first part you can hear 2 hands playing. Yeah. There's definitely 2 parts in the first song, in the first bit. 4th track, 1st section. Prosecutor Gavin, I'm sure you realized it by now. Just what it was that was odd, that sounded odd to you. As I'm sure you've realized it yourself, Air Forehead. Realized what? I'll demonstrate. Let's listen to the part in question again, shall we? Pay particular attention to but a fleeting melody phrase.
Man, how many times do we have to listen to that same thing? God, I am so with you, Darian. You're a murderer, but I'm so with you here. I'm so sick of hearing that same fucking song. You're right, enough of that. Let's listen to another section, shall we? Another section? The guitar bursts into flame at the end of the second verse. Let's listen to the same spot. In the first verse, pay attention to "Oh, that night in your embrace." Play verse 2 again. There, did you hear that? They feel the same, true. They're clearly very different. But what? I'll put your honor. Phrase in verse 2 is quite simple. The same verse in verse 1 has high and low notes. You'd have to use 2 hands to play that one for sure. What's that prove? I would think you'd know about that by now. This is why I hate dealing with amateurs, man. So the 2 verses have different arrangements. Happens all the time. Not this time, Darian. There's no point in changing an arrangement if you can't hear it clearly. And that wasn't the point. I had them played specifically so the piano would stay in the background. Oh. That was what I noticed. Why should the same phrase sound slightly different? I asked myself. Now ask yourself why Machi changed how he played. There's only one answer. He needed a free hand in order to press the switch. Fucking, I'm so ready for that Pomodoro to explode. Order! Believe this ties all of the facts together. Well, Prosecutor Gavin? Yes, quite. Though personally, this comes as a terrible disappointment. Huh. What, no comeback? Can't believe it, I finally did it. I shut him up. Very well. Barring an objection from the prosecution, I will now state the court's opinion on this matter. Good show, Sleeves. No, great show. It's not over? I don't like it when he looks so happy. You tell him, Gavin. Tell him what's so disappointing. Personally, I'm terribly disappointed. In you, Air Forehead. Huh? Me? Yes, don't get me wrong, your case is solid. The facts all check out, but even now, you have yet to show us a single piece of decisive evidence. Yeah, but the facts, anyone can see it was him. Unfortunately, anyone does not include the law. I'm afraid your case doesn't cut it. But... 1,000 facts might point towards the same conclusion, but without decisive evidence is not proof. That's the rule under our current legal system. I don't believe it. It does not seem as though the defense has any more evidence to present. Oh, I think if he did, we already would have seen it long ways back. It is unfortunate, but at present this court is unable to acknowledge your accusation. What? The truth is staring us all right in the face. Why can't they see it? What's the point of a legal system that protects criminals? Paulo, remember what Daddy said. It won't be easy proving what he did, especially not under the current court system. So what do I do? Like I said, good luck. And be aware that it will be impossible to prove his guilt by using conventional methods. Ugh. Every man has an igniter inside him. Find Darian Crescent's igniter and set it off. I wonder what he means by every man. I wonder what he meant by every man's igniter. I think he just means a weak spot, no? Kind of thing that a single spark could turn into a wildfire of emotion.
Won't be able to press him further by conventional means. Gotta find a weak spot in this guy. Something fatal. So, can I get back to work now or what? It may look like I got a lot of time on my hands. I got no time to play pretend with this deadweight attorney. Well, Mr. Justice, we've come this far without decisive evidence. This witness won't be coming back to the stand once we let him go. Every man has an igniter. Huh? Didn't you say the better the guitar, the brighter it burns, Prosecutor Gavin? Ah, yes. Good guitars are kept dry, is why. That provides the best sound. Even a small spark could cause irreparable damage. Your plan has an igniter in it, too, Detective. It was there from the very beginning. What? Fighting time, Justice. If you blow this one, it'll be out of your hands for good. Go for it, Apollo. What, and this igniter's supposed to come burn me up? It's almost poetic there, Mr. Attorney. All the better. I'm rather fond of poetry. And I intend to hear this one through to the very end. Herr Forehead, you're accusing this man, Darian Crescent, of 2 crimes. The murder of Mr. Lictus and the smuggling of Borginian cocoon. This is your last chance to prove your case. This trial's already run on for far too long. Mr. Justice, this will be my last warning. The moment this igniter of yours turns out to be a dud, it's the moment this cross-examination ends. Understood? Yes, Your Honor. Then let's have at it. Show us the basis for these accusations against Darian Crescent. Okay, this is really my last chance. The key that will take apart Darian Crescent's plan is... We call Machi, don't we? We call Machi. Because yes, if they were co-conspirators, which all the evidence points to so far, Machi can testify against him, or has some proof or leverage. Because why else would he be working with Darian Crescent? Out of the goodness of his fucking heart? Fuck no. You have to have some kind of leverage. Call a witness. Your igniter isn't a piece of evidence. Huh? So what is? It is true that I couldn't show decisive evidence. But perhaps what I needed to prove my case was something else. You mean a witness? Proving his guilt is a tall order. I've got just the person to do it. Very well, Mr. Justice. Who's this person who can prove Darian Crescent's guilt? The 14-year-old. The one person who can prove Darian Crescent's guilt is the defendant, Machi Tobai. Your client, again. Machi Tobai was an accomplice to the cocoon smuggling plot. Without him, Darian Crescent could not have gotten the cocoon. Furthermore, he can easily prove that the one who plotted to smuggle that cocoon is the real criminal in this case. How so? It would require just one of the very cocoons that Mr. Lictus was looking for. With the cooperation of the Republic of Regina, we could burn a cocoon. The burnt cocoon would leave a particular residue. A residue we would, no doubt, find inside the burnt-out guitar. Ah, very scientific of you. Thus, if Machi Tobai acknowledges his agreement with Darian Crescent concerning the attempt of smuggling of a Borginian cocoon, the case is solved. Darian's laughing again. Your unrelenting passion is remarkable. You really want to get me, don't you? Too bad you'll never be able to. Why not? Little key tickler won't acknowledge anything. Especially not anything to do with cocoon smuggling. What's this all about? Taking a cocoon out of the country means death. By Borginian law. Ah. Yeah, see? Our pianist really was a smuggler. If our pianist really was a smuggler, then testifying about it would be suicide. Believe me, he's not talking. But you're wrong, Detective Crescent. What? It's the other way around. If Machi doesn't admit to the smuggling here, he's in deep trouble. Huh? How? Look, if Machi admits the smuggling here, then he'll be tried in our courts by our laws. You don't get the death penalty for smuggling in our country. Ah. The victim in this case was an undercover Interpol agent. I'm sure that news has already reached Borginia. And they'll likely broadcast our dealings in court today. Including the part about the Borginian cocoon. Yeah, but... Just let me progress. Don't wait for the stupid pompadour to fall. But if Machi doesn't admit to smuggling now, he'll eventually be picked up by the Borginian police. And it's not like he's in any danger in our court. We're not gonna find him guilty of murder here, not now. Yeah, but you can't do this. You can't accuse me. Maybe the law doesn't allow it. Who's gonna think you're really innocent after hearing this trial? Same goes for Machi Tobai. Ugh. The cocoon smuggling, your entire plan? Machi Tobai knows everything. There's only one way out of it for him, and that's to acknowledge his own crime. The crime of cocoon smuggling. Heh. Don't worry there. I'll get you out of the country. I'll set you up someplace, a hidden mansion, real nice. Want a house made of cookies? Or no, a house made of pianos? Come on. Please. What? Don't talk. What the fuck was happening? Darian, I consider that my last session with you. We rocked. I'm guessing we can treat that outburst as a confession. Uh-oh, he's laughing again. There's a kind of sick desperation in it now, though. Well, have you been listening to today's trial? Yes. And you'll talk. You'll tell the court everything. I didn't want it to turn out this way. But, I'm not the kind of lawyer that can overlook a crime. Today's trial was all for your benefit, you know? I see no reason why you should hesitate now. I knew from beginning, I knew. Machi, situation I cannot explain, but money I needed. Very much money. Today's trial raises a delicate issue with our legal system. The only thing definite in the court of law is evidence. This is the golden rule. However, it has become apparent that not all things can be tried by this standard. Should another case of this sort surface, we may have to consider an alternate system by which to administer justice. Anyway, Mr. Machi Tobai. Yes? I promise you will receive a fair trial by the laws of our country. And with regards to the current charges for the murder of Mr. Latouche, this court is prepared to announce a verdict. Oh, I don't like it. Put the glasses back on. You're very creepy. I hate your eyes. Please put the sunglasses on. I only lie, but you see truth. You find truth. That is our job. Very well. This court finds the defendant, Machi Tobai. Not guilty, motherfuckers. Court is adjourned. God, what the fuck? I wonder what'll happen to Machi. Well, he did smuggle a cocoon out of Borginia. Guess there'll be another trial here. All's well that ends well. Daddy, I owe you both my thanks. Lamora? Why, is something wrong? I'm sorry, Archie was your partner on stage, your friend. Yes, I thought of him as my own son. Even now I do, yet something got a hold of him, something evil. I see that. And he must pay for what he has done. Is that not how it should be? I'm still sorry. Do not be sorry. You have given me courage. Courage? I'm considering an eye operation. It was my suggestion, actually. Or it was my suggestion, actually. You mean you'll be able to see again? It's funny, I've always been afraid of the light. Light seems so harsh, so unforgiving. According to the doctor, Lamar lost her sight due to some kind of accident. An accident? As you know, I suffer from amnesia. I feared that if I could see, perhaps it would open my eyes to the truth I've been running from. I was scared. You know what changed your mind? Hearing your defense in there today. She could feel your gaze, unwavering, always looking straight at the truth. If the light returns to my eyes, I think I will take up painting. Painting? That's right. She's the landscape painter in sound, after all. I will paint the two of you, I promise. Woohoo! I can't wait, Lamar. I owe you my thanks too, Apollo. Thanks, Mr. Wright, but for what? You reminded me I need to hurry things along. On my secret mission, that is. Right, your secret mission. Apollo, Trucy, I hope that we will meet again someday soon. You bet, me too. Aww. And so, like a bell, the trial flowed on and on until it came to an end. Thanks to the trial, the guitar serenade was a huge hit. Prosecutor Gavin's even more dazzling to look at now. But there's something I want to say to that guy. Next time you write a ballad, have them catch the killer in the end. Oh, okay. That was so complicated. Holy shit. I need a break. I can't do the start of the next case. God, that was so. This was just trial. This was fucking this was 2 hours and 40 minutes of just trial. That was so complicated. What the fuck was this case? Good lord. This is as bonkers as the fucking Mask to Mask case. It's insane. Oh my god. All right. Yeah, that was wild. This last chapter is gonna be so long. It's gonna be fucking 8 hours long. I'm gonna need like 12 streams to get through this. Oh no. And there's still 3 more of these games. What am I gonna do? Okay. Worry about that later. For now, yeah, that was, I guess that was chapter 3, or case 3 of Apollo Justice. Yeah. Well, thanks for hanging out. This was a lot. Hopefully it's probably gonna be just as bad the next trial. Hopefully I don't have to deal with fucking a blind singer who isn't blind. A blind singer who could speak English, and a fake blind pianist who could actually speak English too. Everyone could speak English. This was very stupid. Fucking, I need to leave. Thanks for hanging out, if indeed you still are. Fucking bye.